home. Any announcements this evening? Anything local? No? Additions of deletions to the agenda? Do you have anything? Appointments? We do not have an appointment this evening. Hearing and delegation, anybody that is in the audience that would like to speak that's not on the agenda?
Public comment period?
No?
Okay.
Correspondence that have come in, treasurer's reports, save the date, there is a Jensen, Baird, Gardner, Henry Municipal Client Seminar, and I know that, there have been a number of us that have attended various, sessions every year. They have one typically after the legislature, adjourns, and they go over the new laws and whatnot. So that would appear to be on Thursday, September 24th, if anybody's interested, from any of the planning board or anything of that nature. Board and committee vacancy list, we will continue to keep that in the public eye. EcoMaine recycling reports, which brings us down to reports, staffs, and initiatives. Tammy Jo.
Last week I did attend the planning board meeting with both Lee J and Natalie here, and it was nice to see a number of committees represented, and I thought that they did a really good job going over some of the basics, and I hope that we do something like that again in the future for boards and committees, maybe not so much of a focus on the planning board. That really was based on planning board and ZBA, but I think something that was a little bit more broad would be of an even greater interest to other committees. So well done, and something I'd like to see happen again in the future. I don't think we do enough of that kind of stuff.
Or boardsmanship next time, general boardsmanship.
Yeah.
And we do have a copy of video, we videotaped it.
Yes, we did.
All right, anything else, teacher?
That's it.
John?
I just will mention that the library had their book and bait sale, and it was pretty successful. They made over $800, and so I guess that's about it.
Okay. All right, Gary, your report.
Okay, I'm gonna be rather lengthy tonight, I guess, so bear with me. We'll start with the roads to begin with. The Straw Mill Brook Road, a lot of people have been asking about project dates here, so we'll fill in some informational blanks here. The grinding was completed yesterday. Today the graveling started. We have, I think, 5 dump trucks from 3 different contractors in the area, and those trucks will work probably right through quitting time Friday to get 6 to 12 inches of gravel laid on top of that, and then paving will follow in August along with the final cleanup work and shoulder work. Deering Ridge Road drainage work is going to continue, some of it with town staff and equipment, some of it with outside help, and that should be completed by mid-September with resulting paving as well. On the salt shed, I noticed when I listened to the meeting that I was not at 2 weeks ago, I noticed there was a question about test pit data. That was merely a test pit dug by the engineers to determine the soil weight bearing capacity. He was very happy with what he saw. Obviously this salt shed is going to be a very heavy building that's full of material. We're actually going to meet with the engineer Thursday afternoon. He's got the site plan pretty well drafted. We're getting ready for planning board in August, and obviously there'll be a RFP and bid spec process going on separate from the planning board review. Switching over to this building in the roof, we have a couple different options here. I think we're pretty close to being able to make a decision. Many months ago, we had 3 insulation contractors, and I walked them through the attic upstairs. And suffice to say, they were all in the $40,000 to $50,000 bracket for cost to spray insulation up to 3 inches thick on all the exposed roof rafters, close off the soffit vents, close off the ridge vents, and make that heated space with no air transfer. That should make the outside shingles cold enough so that we don't get that ice buildup. Where I'm a little leery, and I'm not a contractor here, I'm trying to rely on professionals, is all that ductwork that's upstairs would be a real bear to get a 75-pound young man in there with a wand, and it's just awful if you get up there. It's like a rabbit warren. I'm just leery of being able to do that and have a uniform thickness, which you need to have the job done properly. So that's our cheapest alternative to fix the problem here. The other is a conventional roof, which is more expensive. We strip off the roof shingles, we fix any sheathing that needs to be fixed, we put on a 3-inch rigid foam insulation, more sheathing on top of that, ice and water shield around the bottom course, reshingle it with 30-year shingles, and you're looking at materials only for conventional shingles at $30,000. If you want to put steel or metal roofing on it, you're going to add another 22. So for materials only, it's either 30,000 for shingles, 52 for steel roofing, and we're estimating, and it's a true rough estimate now, at $30,000 in labor, either way. The benefit for this is this roof, I think, is 13 years old. It's got some wear and tear. It's had a lot of foot traffic on it because of the ice damage, and had to send Pete up there pretty much every storm. So I think we're buying ourselves a little time if we actually did the roof from the outside. And we would have a head start on the roof damage that is probably going to happen within the next decade. And I'm certainly open to any Board of Selectmen preferences and questions either tonight or in between the meetings here. Town Hall move, we moved 3 offices. The assessor moved to my old office so that we got assessing, code enforcement, and planning all in one wing of the building, so the information is all close to each other, and I think that's a very smart move to do. I think that's worked well. General assistance is moved to the old assessing office, and now my office is in the front right office of the lobby as soon as you come into the building. And Dave Lowe gets an extra ice cream and a big thank you because he worked overtime to get us all hooked back up and electronically connected with the rest of the world. He's on vacation now and he deserves it. So, the legal workshop that Tammy Jo mentioned was very well attended with 18 people, and the nicest part was we had 5 out of 6 planning board members there. And with a fairly new planning board, that was most excellent to see that. This is the last week and the last warrants today to pay bills from the last year's budget, and we've processed those today, and we'll continue with our audit prep documents that we'll be getting to the auditor next month. And one other last minute addition here, the Public Safety Committee, I have a handout for you in terms of the documents that they are providing to selectmen, and they said they were fine with trying to come back to the August 11th selectmen's meeting for a formal session, and the sheriff is tentatively available that night also, so if you want to add that to the agenda for the next meeting. Seems like that's all in order. And that's it from me, thank you.
Okay. Miss anything? Anybody? All right, let's go on to new business. Discuss and vote approval of a lease for the food pantry. We have the packet in front of us, which is the latest draft that came from
We have the
legal
site
Beavers.
plan.
Step right up to the microphone there, Claire.
Sorry.
People can hear you at home.
So let me just, before Cleo you start, the proposed lease agreement has been through a number of revisions already, and it'll probably go through another few, but we do have, I guess the new name I see on the emails is Natalie's assistant.
Oh, Casey?
So we do have legal review up to this point of what's in there, so, and I know there's a revised layout, so why don't you go ahead with what you're proposing?
Okay, well, we were told that we needed the extra 20 feet in order for the septic and the well and for the building. So, Dana redid it, so he's added that. And like we agreed upon a couple weeks ago, we did not put that entrance on the lease because you mentioned that you might want to use it for the parking lot as an exit down the road. So that is not part of the lease, as you can see from the, see, there's the little driveway right there, and here's our leases over here. So, but we would like to use it until you're ready to use it as an exit, if that's all right with you all. If not, we will make our driveway right away off Moon Penny.
Yeah, there's nothing stopping you from providing or putting another entrance in there.
No,
other
no,
than
there isn't.
just some discussions to connect everything through,
Right, right. It's just it would help us to begin with, so we wouldn't have that big of an expense to start with. And where you're not using it at the moment, that would give us a little bit of a break.
Does that have to be included on a lease?
No, it could be an addendum that we have the,
Don't be so quick to say
Oh,
no.
no.
Okay, from a legal perspective.
no,
if
what I meant was, it can be an addendum to the lease stating that we have the use of it until you need it for the parking lot. That's what I meant to say. Rather than being,
But it's still somewhere, either an addendum or attachment or whatnot, it's gotta be mentioned in the lease.
right,
Okay, what else?
well, we
Any,
had agreed to a 99-year lease. Well, when we talked about it, we talked about a 99-year lease, $1 per year. And should the pantry close at any time, that the town would end up owning the building and the well and the septic and take their land back. But on the lease, it's kind of iffy, and it almost says that you would get the land that we owned as well. It doesn't specify it, but it kind of implies.
On section 6C, is that what you mean?
I don't.
I don't see where.
It says
Anyway.
another, if I remember correct, I just read it very quickly because I got it just before I left.
If you go to section 6C, that's what I call the reversion clause, so that if the
Okay.
pantry ever moves or stops operation.
Okay. It said, but not limited to the paved area and the building.
Oh,
Which
right, I
it
mean,
wouldn't be, it would be
Yeah.
all the land, right?
Okay, yeah, okay. I just wanted to clarify that.
yeah, I don't believe this reversion clause would go back over to your parcel. Was it Mr. Johnson? Is that?
Yes, that he
I-
gave us.
I don't think you need to worry about that going on to
Okay.
Mr. Johnson's, because the town has no control over that.
Right, right. Yeah, we'd use that predominantly for extra parking and like that.
Yeah.
And there's a part in there that says that we have to get insurance. We will get insurance to cover everything that needs to be covered through the CASPAZAC agency. You'll make sure that we're covered for everything we need.
Yep.
Mr. Shoemaker will be our contractor, so he will make sure that everything is done up to code and we have the proper permits and everything like that. He will be in charge.
Yeah. That's not part of the lease.
No, but I
Good
just
to
thought
know.
I'd throw that in so you know.
Yeah.
On here it says, we need permission to put lights or sign. And there's someplace else, like I say, I had all of maybe 2 minutes to read it. And, then we need permission and then you have the right to come into the building and so forth. And,
Yeah, maybe the board should talk about that and hear your thoughts about that, if that gives you indigestion.
well, the thing of it is, you are leasing the land. We're not leasing a building from you. It is the community pantry's building, so that not everybody else should have access to it.
Well,
I mean,
but
if
I
you
think-
wanted to go in, with our permission, go in, but I mean, you shouldn't
I
have.
think and that's why I think we really need to shake this out against the lease with the snowmobile club, the lease with the ATV club. Probably the lease at the Lions is a little bit different, because that was a municipal building that was turned over. The other two actually put buildings up.
Which is a bit different, yeah.
So there should be some consistency between these leases. And I think that language is typical of a town lease where we have the right to
That's what I thought, yes.
access,
The building, even though you don't own the building.
and I
But
guess
the
that,
town has an interest in the building.
right,
Not really, because you
Well,
lease
if
the
the-
land,
But if something happens to the food pantry
right,
and the food pantry fails, then the town does have an interest in the structure.
right, but not before that. In other words, the way it reads, you have access to tell us the hours we can have.
I put those on there as a placeholder. I just
Okay.
thought that, what'd they say, 9 to 9, Monday through Saturday?
Yeah,
I just thought that was plenty of time. Do you have an issue with the hours?
Well, the thing of it is, like, say we have a meeting, the volunteer meeting, and our meeting starts at 8, and we go till 10. Do we have a problem? That's the thing.
I don't see any reason why we would put any restrictions on when they can or can't be.
Okay, we can take that out.
I mean, we
Yeah.
certainly don't tell the.
The only
we
access
don't
I
tell
see
the
that the town would be interested in is for safety
Right.
in any
But-
other, like any other business in the town. But
Right.
Yeah,
not,
storage.
nothing beyond that.
Right, anything
Right.
stored, safety, fire protection, those kind of things, I would think that.
I don't think it's any different than any other building that we got in town.
Right. But relative to our stipulating when it can be used and whatnot,
Yeah, that's on section 8 on page 3. So if we want to,
section 4 right on the front page. Pantry shall be limited to 9 to 9.
I'm sorry, I thought you'd moved on to inspecting the
okay.
building. I read that, I was gonna take that sentence out of
Yeah,
section 4.
okay,
Yeah.
all right. I
I'll
thought
take
you
out the
said-
9 to 9. I'll take out the whole last sentence of section 4.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, we don't put an edict on snowmobile club, or the ATV club, or the Lions club, or anybody else on when they can or can't be open.
Mhm.
When we use the land, right?
And in section 5A, we don't pay taxes because we're nonprofit. And we're gonna have our own well and our own septic.
Well, if the governor has his way, some of these nonprofits might be taxable, so I mean, as foolish as that may sound,
Mm-hmm.
I think that looking ahead to what may happen, it's prudent to leave it in there. I mean, you're tax exempt at this point, so
Right.
it's a non-issue.
Right.
But if something changes, we do have to make sure that, you know, the townspeople's interests are served as well.
The one thing I didn't understand is the lease shall be a triple net. What does that pertain to? Does it says it on different places?
That's the term used for paying all those expenses, and that's, I guess, more of a legal lease term that
Okay.
they use. I mean, those things that are irrelevant, obviously, you're not going to be paying them.
No. And there's a place in there, I forgot where it was, that, cause I made myself some quick notes, that it says that you should be on the insurance that we have on the building.
Right, that we would be named as an additionally insured, I believe.
But why, you didn't own the building?
It's on town property. I'm guessing that's why they put that in there.
Okay.
I think
and I
the
think-
snowmobile club has
Yeah.
that too.
Okay,
And so
I was
does-
just curious.
so does
Because
safety.
if somebody was to say fall going into the food pantry,
Yeah,
you know, we need to make sure that they're not gonna be able to come back and sue the town because the land is owned by the town
oh,
of
right,
Waterboro.
okay, okay.
So
Yeah,
it's
we're gonna make sure that we have the proper insurance,
Yeah.
and, Steve said he'd make sure we have everything, and we are incorporated, so the volunteers are not held liable.
Yep.
So we did do that first thing.
So they say.
Thank you, Brian?
So they say.
Yeah, well,
I have a small question, and it looks like there's at least 50 feet between that line and the parking lot, but I wanna make sure that we've got at least a 50-foot right-of-way to get to that back property without buildings and if we ever wanna, if the town ever develops that back property, I don't wanna have to go right through the parking lot of this building. I want a second entrance at least, and we don't have it on in the old town hall parking lot. So it needs to be at least 50 feet out there by those two dumpsters that are up there to get to that, out behind the, gardens as we speak today.
there's a space right here that they could just go right like that, right, beyond the
I
dumpsters.
just wanna make sure that there's a 50-foot
Yeah, like right there, Yeah, it looks like there's at least 50 feet. If you compare it to our lot, right here,
I
it's
do.
almost the same
Yeah,
distance, so you would have them, cause see, that's 69 feet, and that's almost the same, so you'd have a good 50 feet there.
Yeah, I think that's just based on that, where that line is struck.
yeah.
Mhm.
Right.
It looks like there is pretty close to 50 feet, but I just would want to make sure that there is between the pavement out here and that line, that there's a good 50-foot,
Yeah, 'cause once
so
we,
to speak, right of way out to that back piece of property.
once we go by that back pin, right, where
Yeah.
the second silver bullet is, I mean, that ultimately is all,
I was looking for a chart, I was looking for
there's not a scale on
there's
this.
no scale on the plan. and
Well,
all, so-
Right.
there
if
is
you
on the
look-
big one, but if
If you
you,
look right, excuse me, if you look right here, that's 47 feet right there.
Yeah,
And if you compare it with that, this is bigger
Yeah.
than this, so you've got your 50
Yeah.
feet.
we hope.
that's 35 feet long.
Yeah, bear with that. Well, the silver bullet is 24,
I don't know.
24 or 27.
Cleo, where did you get the 47-foot number you were
I'm
just
right
looking
here.
at?
It's right there.
Oh, up at the
So,
other.
yeah,
At
if
the
you
end
just
of the
compare,
That's an estimate.
yeah, if you well, no,
Yeah.
this is inaccurate, cause that's the survey.
Well, this
they
line,
did.
this line doesn't exist.
No, but see, if you compare this to this,
Yeah.
this is bigger, so that this is 47 feet.
Yeah, but we're talking 50 feet from here to here.
Oh, okay,
That's what Dwayne's
That's
talking about.
Dwayne's
okay.
concern.
okay. I don't know.
You know, again, if you need to get into this back lot here, you have the space between the line where the driveway is, and also if you need to, you can go a couple feet into the parking lot. So, I mean, that's not gonna affect the parking lot much.
Yeah, the travel, if we have a travel way out through there, you know, I guess the question is does the travel way have to stand off from that lot, their leased lot line by any specific number?
It would be nice to do it.
I think before,
Good protection.
something to look at here before we sign a lease, that
Yeah, cause it
we
really
should look at a
does,
50-foot right-of-way or a 50-foot road out through there, and all the setbacks need to be met.
cause it really doesn't, I mean, if that line, which is, I guess we would call it the, south side line, it's 157.82 on the road, and it's 125.35 on the back. If we're looking at the square footage, that could come down to, say, 115, right? And the length, the depth of the lot could go further. I mean, if you're just looking for
Yeah.
square footage, right? So that
Yeah.
there would be an active 50-foot distance between that lot line and the end of the paved improvement.
Right, and I don't think the parking lot needs to meet setback like it does in
No.
that building envelope. That can be tucked
Yeah.
over closer to town hall.
Or it can stay right where it
It
is.
can stay where it is,
Yeah.
we just can't have structure.
So Dwayne, when you were talking about setbacks, though, regarding a 50-foot right-of-way, what setbacks are you talking about?
You're gonna have to have a sideline in the front, you're gonna have a sideline in the front yard setback,
To what, though, or not?
that
The right-of-way.
a right-of-way will have a front yard and a sideline setback. If it's, you got a front yard to the townhouse road, and you also have a front yard setback to the right-of-way out back. Cause we're getting to a point where we don't have anything to get out back. If we we give everything away, we got no way of getting out to that back property.
So if you created another new lot out back, you mean? If you created a new
Right.
lot?
That's the only time that it would come in.
If you created another building, then it ain't saying that, you're not gonna put something else out back there. You've got, 7 acres, 8 acres out there.
I don't have that number in front of me. I've got the map, but I don't have the acreage.
I haven't, it's been quite a few years since I knew what was there, but you haven't got it on the old townhouse property, because there's a piece of property in between us
Right.
to get out there. So this is the only piece of property left to get out back at this point, other than going right through our parking lot and through what you've got for garden there now.
Wouldn't you just go from the parking lot just like that? Just,
I mean, you could do that, but if you had a building out there that had a lot of, that had a lot of traffic, let's say if you had a recreation center or something like that out there where you had a lot of traffic, you couldn't have traffic go zooming through the parking lot right in front of the front steps of town hall.
Plus, we got the generator slab back there and the generators there and whatnot.
no, we were talking about this,
So,
Right,
well,
well,
I just wanna see it laid out,
yeah.
that,
It'd be interesting to see if,
what we've got there.
Dana could just strike a line and say this is 50 feet. Even if this back lot line had to move deeper to get the square footage of the lot.
So have them redo this so that it's from the edge of the pavement over to the yellow line is at least 50 feet.
50 feet. And then if we have to add that square footage, we just move this back line back, right? You won't move this deeper.
I don't think they need to do that. They've got laterally,
They got
plenty.
plenty of room, right?
Just, we punched it 20 feet back so it could meet the setback with a larger building.
Yeah, but I mean, right now, we're looking at 15,500 square foot in the lease area, right?
Yes.
If you wanted to keep that number, you just move both lines, right?
Yep.
And it stays, and this is gonna be an attachment or an exhibit, right? And it's gonna
This
show.
would be it, yes.
Yeah, the words in the lease aren't gonna change, it's gonna say 15,500 square feet depicted on exhibit A. So if we strike that, you know, this,
And if something comes about in 20 years or 10 years from now, at least we've covered everything that we need to cover, and we're not
So
back trying to
you
scratch our
would bring
head.
bring this line this way? Is that
This-
what you're
this-
talking about?
yeah, maybe this line may have to go 8 or 10 feet towards Moonpenny,
Uh-huh,
right? And if you went that way, then the back lot line would just go deeper into the lot, just
okay,
to maintain the 15,500 square feet.
okay.
Because that's, if the lease is gonna be written for 15.5, it's gonna be depicted on some exhibit, which is.
I've got this as a Word document, so I can change
Right,
that.
right.
Now, do you want it shown just 50-foot dimension, and do you want an actual ROW right away, or easement listed on it?
The easement is ours, it's
It's
ours.
ours, I was gonna say,
They
we
don't
already
have to
own
give
it.
us anything, right?
So it's just gonna be 50-foot dimension?
Yeah.
Okay.
And if you ever lease that to some
Somebody
other
else.
organization, then you've got a 50-foot right
Right
of
away to
way
get
out
it.
there, which at this
In
point.
other words, they could come right in the driveway here and just go straight this
Yeah.
way.
But if there's a second structure out there, they still have to have that access.
Okay.
With regards to the driveway,
Yes.
the proposed entrance, and I guess this is a question for the other selectmen. I would be concerned about establishing that in the beginning as the entrance, and I understand that it's a cost savings for you,
Mm-hmm.
but if people start getting in the habit of using that all the time, and then the entrance later on changes,
We could
It's-
close it off.
it's hard to change people's,
Well, what we could do
means.
is, once you all were using it, we could close it off, like put some shrubbery, whatever, right there, so they wouldn't be able to enter that way, that's
Well,
all.
why is it there's no entrance there.
No,
So,
there isn't.
so if you were gonna use it as an entrance, you're gonna have to do something to improve it. Which would
There's
be,
part-
which would
it's
be
part of the
off,
driveway,
would
yeah.
be off the leased land.
Yeah,
To me, I think this would be much cleaner, put in an entrance, you know, whatever you do, you
I
gotta
would think so, I thought that the other day when I rode up.
put it in, put an entrance in to the,
a penny, yeah.
even if you put it in off from Moon Penny or almost over to Moon Penny.
Probably be better, but see, yeah,
I just,
However,
I have a real concern about changing people's habits.
yes.
And that, you know, that doesn't always
Oh,
work
yeah.
very well.
Oh, yes, I
So-
know that,
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I would rather see it where it's gonna be permanently, I'd rather see
Okay.
it established there, right at the forefront.
And that's another
How do you
liability
feel about that?
crossing.
Well, they all agree, so that's
Right.
You
cool.
know, I mean, it's a lease, piece of property and the entrance ought to be on the lease
And you
property.
have a
Okay,
comment?
well, a question, a concern, a little red flag keeps going up because we do, you know, the pantry owns that corner lot, and if the
Right.
pantry moves or goes away down the road, the town has no control over anything in that corner lot. I wouldn't want the entrance to a building we were gonna take over to be in formerly Mr. Johnson's lot, cutting out the moon
Yeah.
penny.
That's part
So
of
it
the
would have to
50-foot
be-
right of way that we're gonna keep down.
Yeah,
there.
so you gotta.
Then we could move it.
You know,
Right,
we
right.
can just
So-
move it, so.
either that
Yeah.
or if the pantry, we could put an addendum to have first right to purchase the land at that point in time.
Well, I thought Mr. Johnson put in his deed that it reverts back to him if the pantry,
Well,
Well, we
I
don't plan
asked-
on going,
But I
the
asked
front.
that, I asked that question.
and that's
I-
fine.
yeah, the other
Oh.
pantry was, going for 26 years, and it would still be going if it wasn't that the church was sold, so,
Yeah,
Well,
so-
I think you still have to
right,
plan for
Do we,
the worst
the,
part,
right,
worst
do we
case
have-
scenario.
does somebody have a
Otherwise,
copy
that
of
gets into
the
a legal-
deed from Johnson to you?
It doesn't, he didn't specify
There's no
in,
covenant, yeah, I thought that we had this discussion a couple meetings ago, there is no covenants in that deed.
no, there isn't. It's
There was
just
some
my
talk-
word,
There was some talk that, well, I never want the town to take it and all this good stuff.
yeah, and then
If
he
you wanna do
had-
that, you gotta put it in the deed.
he had me give him his word that I would not sell or give the land to the town. But should he go
We're 20,
completely,
if we're 20 years from now,
and he's in
and
his
something happens,
eighties
it's gonna,
or nineties, thereabouts.
You know, I think if you have a driveway that goes into the pantry right where it is, and actually goes into the back parking lot that can be closed off, that offers the capability, if you want two entrances to the parking lot for any particular reason, you can do that. But you close the parking lot off with, cement, pieces or something like that. But then it becomes an entrance to the pantry and also a potential second entrance to the parking lot, or any drive that goes through to the back of the room.
I don't know that you can have two entrances like that, I think one would have to be an entrance and one an exit,
For town hall, you mean?
yeah.
That's fine. I mean, if for
So you
some
can't use
reason
that as
you
an
wanted
exit.
to have an entrance and an exit for an event or something that was happening, and you could move those, you'd have that available to you. But 99.9% of the time, it's just an entrance to the pantry. But if you do need to get into the back parking lot, have an egress and et cetera, then you got that capability.
But then
It's more flexible.
if you're using that, John, as an exit for a town hall parking lot, you're also using it as an entrance, so it ends up being two-way traffic.
But, I mean, again, if for some reason you're building a road back in here, you may have it twice as wide too. You may have a two-lane.
the issue, whatever is done, is if they use that entrance, it has to be worded in the lease.
Right.
There has to
They
be
have the
something
right
that
to use
says,
that.
you have the right to access that property from that. So I guess what we ought to know is, if there's an entrance here, how many feet would be that entrance? Which we probably will use at some point in time, could be 20 years from now. that entrance.
Yep.
Where can another entrance be? Can't be 5 feet from that
Right.
entrance, right? So could they go all the way to the, we'll call it the Johnson lot, and have the entrance there?
Mhm.
Does that still meet safety requirements that
Site
says the two
distance and all of
entrances are
that.
together?
You ain't gonna know until you go to MDOT, because
So, but if it's gonna be used, it has to be addressed in some sort of a lease.
I hadn't even thought of the DOT aspect here. That's far enough away. What's the distance between driveways?
when they tell you,
Oh, that's 75 feet anyway.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, but the next, if they put a third lane,
if the pantry
access.
put it on Moonpenny, you mean, or on town?
On town. Hey,
I was
put it on
thinking putting
Moonpenny.
on Moonpenny, because that
Moon-
way,
Moonpenny's a private road.
Yeah, and if it's anything like what
Do we plow Moonpenny?
Family Dollar just went through,
They did.
DOT would not approve an entrance on Route 5 when there's a way to do an entrance off of the secondary road, so might not even be able to get that as, I think if we did the entrance there, the town would have to do the entrance permit.
Right. The entrance right where they're showing it here.
Yeah, we would have to
The
do
town-
it.
The town owns that entrance.
DOT will have to grant permission to put the driveway where it is on this plat,
Okay.
just so you know.
Okay.
There's a process, but it's a permit you have to get for it.
okay.
885-7000, it's Tony.
Okay.
Moonpenny might be cleaner.
What else?
How
I mean,
about 99 years? What does the board feel about, you're just gonna,
If that's what
well,
we've done with other,
You get the requirement in there that unless something else happens, so there's always the out. If the organization folds, I'm gonna go back to the town, whether that's 6 years from now or 98 years from now, right?
so change it to 99.
I don't have a problem with 99. I think that's what we did. I know that's what we did with the Lions. I know that's what we did with the Snowmobile Club, and I thought that's what we did with the ATV Club.
Yeah, that's what,
So,
my son said, yeah.
I know we've got the back-out clause, the termination clause. I would like to see a little bit cleaner language about what happens if the food pantry ceases to exist.
Yeah, I
If
would
the
too.
organization, I don't think it's clean and
In
No, it
6C.
isn't, it says given notice and like that, it's just your basic lease, and we haven't.
because what happens if, well, it's captured somewhere else. I just would like to see the language a little bit cleaner about specifically if the food pantry ceases to exist, it reverts to the town, some clean language.
Yeah.
on that.
What is it?
I like that.
What are the other two say?
6.
What is CATV Club?
I don't know, you guys are throwing me a wrench here. I didn't go get those leases for tonight, so
Well, I think we know.
I think
I
it's,
haven't read them.
I think it's specific in the snowmobile club, it's been a number of years since I've read it, but I think it was specific about if the club ceases, then the town, it reverts back to the town and talks about how it has to be in good condition, et cetera.
Yeah, because this here just says, gives a 90-day notice and written notice, and,
Well, no, if you go to section 6C, the tenant shall quit and surrender to the landlord the leased premises and any permanent improvements thereon, et cetera, et cetera.
yeah, but then.
That can be put in plain English.
Yeah, that would be good.
I think you could just add, on the expiration, any early termination, or the demise of the food pantry, not demise, but just add a little clause in there that,
And in section 7 where it says, in other words, we have to check with you for lights and signs and that type of
Well, it
stuff.
says you have to observe and comply with any and
Yeah.
all future laws, ordinances, requirements, orders, directives, rules, and regulation. That's in section 7, so.
That's part of your zoning ordinance.
Right, but there's another one, section 10.
Tenant may without cost or expense to the landlord at any time and from time to time place or permit to be placed signs and lighting devices in and leased premises.
Yeah.
So you can't put a sign up if it's over what, so many square feet without a permit anyway.
You're right, no, that's fine, we just would be a regular sign.
So this
Okay,
it's a little
I
bit
just wanted to
redundant
clarify
because we
that.
already said that you have to comply with all of the requirements of the
Yeah.
municipality.
this is why I got somebody that knows what they're doing to do the building and get all the permits and stuff, so.
And I think you look at the amount of insurance, I think those are consistent anyway with the public building, but I also think that that's in those amounts are in those other leases. I mean, the first lease was the Lions,
Yes, but that was a building.
but the requirement for them to carry insurance and
Right, we do have to
liability and
carry,
those kind of things.
you know, all kinds of insurance to protect us and protect you all in case somebody falls or anything like that.
Yeah, cause they're gonna go to whoever's got the deepest pockets.
Right.
Yeah, I would just, I think you need to scrub those other two leases and make sure that this, and certainly Natalie never did those leases, so it should be something that they could pull it out and say, oh yeah, this is what we did.
Actually, I think Smith and Elliott did the snowmobile clubs.
Oh, that could have been, yeah, that could have been back then. Smith and Elliott, that doesn't even
Probably
exist.
they did the Lions too, but
Yeah, I'm sure they did the fraudulent.
Do we have any idea how soon that we will get the lease? That, you know, that we agree on to sign?
Not
Well,
much left to do here.
Yeah, I think it's just a matter of scrubbing some of the language and, you know, certainly we can bring it up to a vote at our meeting on the 11th.
I have a question. We have someone right now, Sis Bank has volunteers that would help us clear the land. And also we have another gentleman that would help clear the big stuff, you know? And we'd like something in writing so we could start now while we have the people that are willing to do it. If we wait, we're gonna lose them. That's
You're not
the
gonna
big-
have them in 2 weeks.
We might not, that's the thing.
I mean, my concern with that is this side line may change.
Mhm.
So we can't really say, go ahead and start doing work.
All we would be doing
Understanding
is
that some of
removing the
these-
scrub stuff
I
that's
don't
out
have
there.
a problem with scrubbing it, cause I don't care how many stumps they take off.
But you're gonna wanna stump it too, right?
Right, but the stump stuff, that will be somebody else that will do that, but meanwhile, we'll have somebody going there with clippers and removing all the saplings and start to clear it.
Now, this is, town land, people are working on it, someone gets injured, it comes under the town policy.
Well,
So that
you're gonna
becomes an
hire a
issue.
contractor, I assume, pay somebody to do it. Bank's not gonna come out on that.
The
Okay.
bank was gonna volunteer, their employees are coming out to help do some of the,
Nice.
yeah, and
Yeah.
haul brush and stuff like that.
And we have our other volunteers that are willing to do it, and we have another gentleman that offered to come and, get the stumps and the big stuff out.
So you're coming with clippers, not chainsaws?
Correct.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
The guy that comes to stump it could do it all, and
I know, but
In
he's
an
not willing
afternoon.
to volunteer, he's volunteering his time gratis, so
Right.
he's not willing to do the whole
I
thing.
understand, yeah.
So he says, you get rid of the saplings and I'll come and do the rest. So for free, we have to take what we can get. And we have to do a lot of the work ourselves. So this is why I'm asking the question.
Yeah, I'm not sure what they're gonna get done in 2 weeks now.
We do meet next Tuesday. Wanted to have a very short meeting with this one agenda item. We got a workshop.
No, I guess the question is can it be done by then?
Oh, I think so. There's not much to do here. I mean,
Then give us a week, we'll address it next week at
Okay.
we'll open up, we'll have a a short meeting and do the business and.
Unless something else rears its head, we'll make the changes we talked about, 99-year lease, get rid of the hours of operation, maybe some more plain language in the reversion clause,
Yeah,
and then maybe I'll just meet Dana down there or talk to him over the phone and talk to him about moving this line. I mean,
Right.
I live in Springville and that's where he works,
right.
and
He's been awesome as far as
he was pretty quick on this one.
15 minutes
I gotta
when we
admit,
had it
yeah.
for us. I mean, he's doing all of this gratis for us. I mean, we couldn't ask for
I
better.
probably won't be here next week, but I have no problem with any of this as long as we've got that 20-foot strip through there for future.
And you don't have any problem with us using that driveway once DOT checks it out and all like that?
What it,
The driveway.
the use of that driveway has to be covered in the lease.
Yeah,
So somewhere, somehow, if
Okay.
in fact we're gonna have a spot there that is gonna access the property, then it has to be so noted that says that you can use that entrance. I would prefer if you have your own entrance, but.
I'm gonna send this to Natalie, the town attorney, and then ask if they recommend, whatever language they recommend to refer to that in the lease without changing the yellow line.
My preference is to see it come off Moon Penny. I think you're gonna have an issue with DOT, just looking at the issues that Dollar General had with DOT.
okay.
What?
They couldn't get an entrance permit because there's a secondary road, Chadbourne Ridge Road. So DOT denied them an entrance permit off of Route 5 and said that their policy is when you have a state aid road or a state road and there's a secondary road that you can create the entrance from, they'll deny the permit and make you go to the secondary road.
So what you would suggest that I have the driveway be right between the land that we own and
Johnson.
county?
We don't have this on this particular one. Do you have frontage on Moon Penny? Does that go all the way over
It
to the
goes all
road?
the way over to Moon Penny, yeah.
Okay.
That's right, yeah.
No, same question, that's a parcel map, which is
You know,
inaccurate.
Very close.
I think having a driveway down here, if the town wanted to have access to the parking lot or back through there, now you're gonna have two driveways right next to each other.
Yeah, but what Tammy Jo's suggesting is that the driveway comes from Moon Penny Lane.
Okay, that's a private, so they're gonna have to get,
How's it sound?
Well, they have access to Moon Penny, they can do whatever they want, basically.
They don't
It's
need
not
an
a-
entrance permit off.
They don't need an entrance permit or anything.
yeah, I just like it tied in
I
here
don't think
in
they have a
some
problem
people.
with getting a
I like
state
it tied
entrance
in.
permit.
Well, Gary's gonna check with Natalie to at least talk about what the language would have to be if that was used, right?
Out of the leased area.
Yeah.
So,
If it becomes too complex, then maybe they default to go to Moon Penny. If that, the real question is that how many entrances would DOT allow in this stretch from this
Well-
here to there?
Realistically, if MDOT would, and it's already there, so it's an existing entrance. But if we widen that out,
I'm gonna change.
it's gonna change it, but that would give us the 50-foot entrance.
Which one's already there? To the old trailer, you mean?
Yeah.
the trailer is.
Yeah, they're gonna recognize that as an entrance, the condition it's in
It's been
today.
used in the last 20 years.
Yeah. Okay.
So I mean, that's a grandfathered entrance, and
That would be good.
you could use that and slide that between those two lots, you've already got your entrance for both pieces of property.
Exactly.
Yeah,
So you would,
Just a thought.
It's a
Yeah, I
win-win
like it.
situation.
So who would
I mean-
follow up with DOT? Would it be the town because that's our
it's our,
property?
Yeah, yeah.
what's all our property right now?
Hmm.
Let's find that out. So
I
earliest,
can't tell you what Tony's last name is.
yeah, the earliest we're gonna do this is next Tuesday night. The latest we'll do it is the 11th.
Okay. Is that something?
Do you care about the brush being cut? I mean, I think that'd be
I
great.
don't have a problem with it.
I don't know, as long as the,
We won't have any saws or anything, it'll just be clippers, because we're cutting all the
if
saplings.
they were out doing a
It's
cemetery
not
or
gonna
something.
I was gonna say, it's gonna be the same thing as a cemetery.
Right.
It won't happen
Oh,
before
okay.
the 11th anyway.
Oh, okay,
Because we have to
So
give
it's
them
not an issue.
notice, you know, so they can gather their people,
Perfect.
okay,
so.
all right.
Okay.
Excellent.
Anything else?
Oh, you W.
Anything else before we,
I think as far as the lights outside, we don't have a problem with that.
as long as they meet the, you know, I mean, they have to meet the, whatever the standard is.
Yeah, all we plan on doing having like solar lights out there so that it's lit up, you know, because if you have a place lit up, then it stops people from trying to break in and stuff. And I think once that's all cleared up, it's gonna look a lot nicer because it won't be all that jungle like.
Okay, all right,
Thank you.
thank you. Thank you for your patience.
We're trying.
You'll get there.
All right,
Back to the grant writing.
new business item B, discuss vote to approve renewal of the state malt, spirituous, and vinous liquor license for the fraternal order of the Eagles at 1050 Main Street. I saw Sean's report, we all set with our other reports from,
Both the fire marshal and the code enforcement officer recommend approval. However, they do have a list of things they want to see them addressed. And they've given them a deadline to do so, but they don't think we should postpone approval for the rest.
Okay, I move that we approve the renewal of the liquor licenses, et cetera, for the Eagles.
do I have a second?
Second.
And moved and seconded to approve the license for the three different levels of spirits. Any discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? 4-0. Discuss vote to consider reappointment of a board member. We've had an existing board member, the assessing board of review, request to be reappointed.
Make a motion to reappoint Diane Gray to the Assessing Board of Review.
Do I have a second?
Seconded by Dwayne.
Been moved and seconded to reappoint Diane Gray to the Board of Assessment Review. Any discussion? All those in favor? Motion carries. Okay, old business. Possible sale of town-owned property in Westboro. Are we, do you
Yeah,
have any
boy.
more knowledge in,
Now life gets really confusing. We're gonna talk about this. The deeper we dig in this issue, and another piece of information happened today, I guess the less we really know. The lot in question is the one outlined by yellow and that one piece of red and what you have. And I do have an extra one if you would like. 47 acres plus or minus with a stream running down through it. In what I found today, there was an abatement done in '01 or '02 that questioned the ownership here, and I did a little memo that's attached to you, your picture there. I think we need to have it surveyed, maybe whether or not there's timber on it that's valuable or not, and we could give a quick claim deed, as we all know, we can do that for anything, but my goodness, we don't even know if we have any interest other than we think we own it at this point in time. It's extremely unclear. I had Steve Everett with me for probably 90 minutes on the registry site last Friday, and he couldn't help at all. And he's a professional surveyor in terms of lending some clarity to, we kept finding deeds that were not even to this property, that were further north. And in one day, in one transaction, there were 10 pieces of property that changed from this Kamali Corporation, which used to be Doug Evans, which was structure and
oh, yeah,
design.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
And
I was gonna say, that dates back into the eighties.
yeah, and, I mean, there's potential, there's a road coming off Middle Road, you can see it on Google Earth, and he thought there might be, you know, potential to look over there and see if there's a right of way, a right to pass over lot 57, the Whitaker 53-acre lot. There's some potential down on West Road, going down those skinny spaghetti lots there, but we just haven't done the deed research to know if anything does exist like that.
We gave up on that at one point.
For this particular
Yeah.
one, you mean?
Yeah, there was, I wanna say late eighties, early nineties, that was a lot that was tossed around to whether it should be sold, public auction or whatnot, and we kinda threw it out the window because we weren't sure.
Same reasons, we don't
Yeah,
know.
I was gonna say, it just kept going around and round
Yeah.
in circles.
Well, Steve gave me a price of $2,000 to do a, what he called a reconnaissance survey with GPS after finding the deed. I'm not familiar with that. I know what a boundary survey is, and I love those. They're very accurate and pretty dependable. So at least $2,000 for what he called the GPS, you know, walkabout of the property after finding the deed. He's confident he can find it, or piece it together, but we certainly haven't found it up through today. But sizable piece of property that's worth some, you know, probably some substantial money. It wouldn't be bad to spend a few $1,000s and know what it is.
And that way, if it's not ours and it's somebody else's, you know,
Yeah, I mean,
do we have some taxes we should be collecting on that?
There are a number of these around town as as we keep bumping into them, and I think it's only, makes sense for us to, make some level of investment occasionally to determine ownership and what it is.
It might have a right of way, and if it does, the price would logically go up. If there is access.
So Mike Scott, who is,
Lot 52, bottom
he
left.
has talked to you, he's talked to me several times. He is interested, he owns a firewood business. Naturally, his interest is for the timber that's on it, or the wood that's on it.
I mean, if you can get access in there, does it have a potential for development? You got the stream going right through the middle. I don't know if that,
So for some reason, somewhere along the line, somebody walked away from this, and
I can see why.
but from the town's, and I think if we go back to 2006 timeframe, when land trust was just kind of in its infancy, this was a piece of property that never really got considered by them because there was no real knowledge of what interest the town had.
Yeah, well, I think not much has changed, unfortunately.
I say we get the deed cleared up, get the survey done, and then if there's an opportunity for us to sell it and get it back on the tax rolls, it would well be worth the effort.
I agree.
I would recommend a boundary survey, full-fledged. Do you wanna do that, or do you wanna do it?
I think the boundary
GPS
survey, do it right.
And that's gonna cost,
Between $500 and $7,500.
Which we would then
Get it back.
recoup
Yeah.
when we sell the property.
in the $7,500 for title search and also boundary.
That'd be a full boundary survey, so he'd
Yeah.
do the full deed research to thoroughly look at whether or not there is an easement somewhere to a
Yeah.
road. When you
Yeah.
look at this right here, and you see that line, he said, look at that line. I'll bet you that was the parent parcel,
probably.
50, 75 years ago.
And what do you think we can sell it for?
Depends on whether it's landlocked or not.
47 acres, 49 acres, 47
It's
acres?
not on Route 5, but on the other hand,
I mean,
No, but it's off West Road.
at least $1,000 an acre.
yeah, okay,
Okay?
yeah, so I think it's
I
a
was gonna say. I
good
was thinking
investment.
1,000 to 2, because I don't know what there is on it, timber.
Okay? did some marching orders?
Yeah, I know,
I don't know anything about it, so,
I know you do.
okay. They're welcome to wait if they want.
Okay.
Okay,
Did I get marching orders? Did I miss a motion, or are we just gonna, is that consensus to go ahead and do it?
I think it's consensus to go ahead.
Do the boundary survey. All right, thank you.
Okay, which brings us to the other part of old business, discussion vote to approve minutes of July 14th, regular meeting. Entertain a motion to approve.
I did notify Christina today that there was a minor correction that needed to be made. Under present, she had Chairman Gerard, Selectman Abbott. Needs to be Chairman Abbott and Selectman Gerard.
I think so.
This is almost as bad as the quorum.
So with those amendments, I would, make a motion to approve the minutes.
Do I have a second?
I'm sorry,
We move to approve the minutes.
yes,
Second,
you guys,
been moved and seconded, all those in favor, opposed. Pending decisions. Probably ought to start making sure that we, start plugging some of the stuff that we've got in here. The only thing that I can think of is the, that whole recreational thing, but I'm not sure we're ready to start following that on a regular basis.
Oh, field?
Yeah.
I don't think we need to at this time.
Week's action list, you're gonna take the action on the lease thing.
Yep.
And please look at the other leases, which Natalie was, certainly in the last one was involved in.
Snowplow bid, I'm trying to pull the final details on that. It'll go out to bid, but obviously it won't be back until late August, but that is in process.
Okay.
Fallen leaves, snowplow bid, boy, summer's coming to an end.
Oh,
It's
God.
July.
I see some maples today with red leaves
Yeah.
on it.
Yeah, I've got leaves falling in my yard.
Discussion of agenda items, we're gonna bring back, if we don't resolve the lease next week at our, unscheduled meeting, we'll bring it back on the 11th.
I won't be here on the 11th.
Public Safety Committee wants to come in on the 11th.
Yes.
You read my note back to you?
Maybe not, I wasn't here until about 5 o'clock.
No, this was yesterday, and whenever the first note came out, I responded to you.
Oh, to get the sheriff?
Yeah,
To come?
I think we ought to have a good discussion with the Public Safety Committee before we start bringing the sheriff in and all that, but that's only
Oh.
one opinion.
I can see where there could be a good meeting without the sheriff yet, to talk about that, so we don't wanna waste his time. So does the rest of the board think that it would be premature to have the sheriff on the 11th?
I'd say public safety first.
Yeah, let's air it out.
Okay.
Cause I mean, Ted's letter was, you know, certainly to the point, but the fact of the matter is that, you know, it begs the question, is there gonna be more comparisons and data from all the stuff that is around?
Yeah, we know where the sheriff stands in terms of, you know,
Yeah, it
challenge
gets,
for deputies.
I mean, and my frustration with this whole thing is that for years, there's been an argument over not, the sheriff rural patrol was either understaffed or inadequate to provide services to all of the non-PD towns, right? But when you run the economics to say, but all of those towns can have leased or contract deputies, now all of a sudden it starts to make sense that we can afford to do that. Now, I understand that we're paying above and beyond what was in the till for contract rural patrol, but somewhere it would make sense to me if, and I know we've always argued against, you know, towns coming up with funding for rural patrol, but, I mean, ultimately, that's what we're doing now.
I want to start a dialogue with the commissioners, because it probably involves legislation to change tax assessments from the county. And I would think the commissioners would, their arguments against more deputies would go away if they knew that their PD larger towns were not being taxed for the additional
Well,
rural
I mean,
patrol.
there's certainly the larger PD towns have some responsibility to the sheriff's department, be it the jail or whatever other services that are provided for those municipalities. But we're now going out, and we've got all of these municipalities, and, you know, they've done the same thing in Cumberland County, you know, Standish being the, kind of the forefront. That's what, 4 or 5 deputies now up in Standish? And
Five, I think, got it right here.
And I mean, I think we now looking at, you know, the recommendation here is to grow
5.5.
to 2
They
or
got
3 or
5,
4.
2 cars.
And when you start looking at, we got a whole bunch of municipalities that are, and some are sharing contract deputies, but we're saying that that's gonna fulfill the need, and yet, you know, they just restructure the rural patrol.
Because not all municipalities can cover the cost of contract deputies. And we can't cover the cost of solely going to contract deputies either. If we had to have the number of deputies to cover the town 24/7,
It's not being covered 24/7 now.
no, it's not. And the sheriff's office is short deputies because the county used those municipalities that decided to contract deputies above and beyond. The county then used that to save money, and instead of replacing those deputies to patrol other areas, they left them short. So even though they have 6 towns now, a couple of them sharing, that have contract deputies, the staffing has not increased on the sheriff's department.
Every contract deputy came from a previous rural patrol countywide.
They used those positions to basically, they didn't replace them.
But the conversation is gonna be
There
bigger
might have
than,
been a new officer.
the
that
conversation is gonna
replaced
go
them.
back to ground zero here. The law enforcement need in York County amongst the rural communities, okay, is only gonna get greater, the
Oh, yeah.
demand, okay? And the municipalities all going off and doing contract deputies, whether it be 2, 3, 4, sharing with another municipality, okay? All that's gonna do is, it ultimately takes it's gonna do away with the rural patrol by default, because the more contract deputies that are put on the payroll, the less the commissioners are gonna fund rural patrol.
Right, but unfortunately, what's happening is, as contract deputies are being added and more towns are taking that on, the sheriff's department now doesn't have the staff to do things like participate in drug task force, which means that they're losing revenues because they don't have active members, so they're losing out on forfeitures. They don't have a K-9 unit. They don't have any detectives right now because they've had to pull all of their detectives and put them on patrol because they're short-staffed.
So in the,
So I think,
under the guise of regional collaboration, I would think that we would look at, we're not gonna probably affect those communities that have PDs. But the fact of the matter is that something has to happen. I don't think you can just start saying, well, Waterboro's gonna add 2 or 3 over the next couple of years. I mean, Hollis isn't getting any sheriff coverage, the state police is covering Hollis. You know, that's a deal between the sheriff's office and the state PD.
and if you
Right.
listen to the sheriff talk, he'll tell you that the reason that he had to enter into that agreement with the state police is because they don't have enough deputies to cover all of York County, even though it's the sheriff's
We had a
department
rollover this
responsibility.
morning at 5:30 on 202, and there was 45 minutes getting.
So there is, the system is broken, right? And I don't know how you start the conversation. I don't think right now, the only answer is, okay, we're just gonna keep adding contract deputies, right? And I mean, Buxton is looking at, I don't know how far that went, but Buxton was looking at doing away there with their PD and switching over to contract deputies. You're gonna end up with more contract deputies in all these communities than, and it just doesn't make sense.
Why?
So, because why don't they fix the rural patrol?
Well,
Because the
I mean,
county
one
will
of
get
the
the
things
money.
with the deputy program, you have more support for training, you have, you're not duplicating. One of the things that we're trying to do is we're trying to work with each other more effectively.
I understand that.
And with a contract deputy, you're not having administration in every little town with their own police
I
force.
understand that, but when all's said and done, if it continues to go the way that there is, there won't be a rural patrol for Sheriff King to manage.
It's double taxation.
It's gonna be gone, and all these municipalities are gonna have contract deputies.
Yep.
So let's go back to quote unquote a rural patrol that works, that does all of the things that you're just talking about, and it's got X amount of deputies, X amount to cover each municipality, and the argument goes back to, we were one of the people arguing that the PD towns had to pay for the rural patrol just like everybody else. Well, maybe they shouldn't.
But there's a
But they
difference between
utilize
rural
them.
patrol and community policing. Community policing gets into the heart of the community, gets to know the people, and some of the older people that are intimidated by kids hanging out or whatever it is, they're able to talk with their local policeman. The rural patrol doesn't go there.
But the rural patrol could go there if it was restructured.
Then you'd have 3 times as many.
No. Because we're gonna end up there anyway. If Buxton pulls their PD and goes, they're gonna have, they got what, 5 full-time now?
5 point,
Was
Buxton
it chief,
said-
right?
Buxton
They got
has 8,
But there's 4 of them full-time plus the chief, right?
chief
think that's
includes
what
the chief and 4 reserves. 5 full-time, 5 to 6 reserves.
So, cause Standish is Cumberland, but, the fact of the matter is they've got 4 or 5 up there, contract deputies. The proposal by this committee for us is to add 1 a year for the next couple of years, right? So all I'm saying is that when you start ending up with a dozen of 15 contract deputies, right? Which was as large as what the rural patrol was, right?
But the rural patrol could be one day, they could be assigned down in Sanford, and the next day they could be up in
Not if-
Waterboro, and the
not
next
if
day
it's-
they could be
not if it's
down in South
restructured.
Berwick.
Not if it's restructured.
I'm unfortunately not gonna be here on August 11th. I would like to request that we actually have the meeting with the Public Safety Committee the following meeting, cause I would really like to participate in that,
25.
the 25th. And I do think that the sheriff should be invited in, because if you're talking about taking this in a totally different direction, I think you need to hear what the current structure of the sheriff's department is, how those contract deputies are working, and what their challenges are. When we were doing the York County budget, one of the things that the sheriff came in and asked for was a hunk of change to hire more staff. That didn't go through. And what the budget committee recommended was that there be some type of a commission or a committee or an ad hoc committee put together to look at what the needs are of rural patrol and to plan out, what do we need now, what's this gonna look like in 5 years, what are we gonna need in 10 years, and start planning ahead and figuring out how are we gonna get there.
So let's, I would agree with you, let's do it the 25th and invite the sheriff. But I think it's gonna get, we probably have to keep some other things off the agenda because that's gonna consume a block of
Oh, I
time.
can see that would consume an hour, so maybe more.
And
Okay.
maybe we don't get necessarily into an in-depth conversation about what the public safety is recommending that night, but I think it would at least be eye-opening to the rest of the board to hear where rural patrol is right now.
Okay. Yeah, I don't, and I'm not suggesting, what I'm saying is you do something completely different.
Oh,
than
it's
they've done
broke.
before.
It's broke, and it needs to be fixed. And there
And-
needs
and
to be a solution
unfortunately,
out there.
The funding problem that the sheriff has is gonna be, patch job fixed by all these municipalities adding more and more contract
It
deputies.
actually hurts them when contract deputies are added. Because if they're not replacing that body, he's now lost a body that could go in all of
Well, that's
those
his argument,
communities, and
that's his discussion
function
with the
down the line.
commissioners. Alright,
Can I ask one more question?
sure.
More to you since you've been on the budget committee. Do you see value in going directly to the commissioners, getting on an agenda in the next month or two, and talking about a different funding mechanism to fix this impasse?
I think that the commissioners heard that there's a problem. I don't know that they necessarily agreed that there was a problem. But I think the other thing, if Waterboro goes before the commissioners, I think you need to bring in some support from other communities as well. Because I think what you're going to find, and what I heard as a member of the budget committee, there's not a lot of towns that are out there that are gonna support having a contract deputy.
Could you say that again?
There's
No,
not
no.
a lot of towns that want to pay to have a contract
Yeah,
deputy.
okay, yeah.
The sheriff has really tried to push
Okay,
having that, and it hasn't worked.
Where I was going is probably legislative change to assess all non-police department towns differently countywide. The bigger picture. I don't know if there's merit in that at this point in time politically.
Well, it goes, I mean, look at what the Kennybunk that tried to do 3 years ago, 2 years ago. I think you were here then.
Tried to do what? Get rid of the PD?
They wanted to,
Yeah, they wanted to
they were
restructure.
pushing a restructuring where the cop towns didn't have to pay for rural patrol. I thought you might have been right about when you started.
And that's fine, I understand what they, and I don't, I mean, the pushback from everybody is, well, cop towns just can't say they don't use the sheriff's department.
Because they do.
So there is a shared, so I think what's broken is that, and I think that's really how you gotta structure it to some of the smaller towns, is to say, what is it costing you out of your tax, your county tax, what does rural patrol represent? Right? And, you know, if it, and you're really not getting any coverage. You're getting the occasional drive-through, right?
Well,
There's-
that's not
yeah.
what the towns with police departments, they're not necessarily counting on the sheriff's department for
Right.
patrol. It's for some specialty services. But like the sheriff said in a couple of different meetings, he feels like the neighbor that's always going over with the empty cup to the neighbor and saying, I need to borrow some sugar, but he's got nothing that he can give in return.
Yeah.
Because he's so short-staffed, he can't reciprocate the services that he's now relying on municipal agencies for. So it's almost like it's flip-flopped.
Anyway, it's an issue in whether, let's start with, I guess, that discussion on the 25th.
Okay.
2 months from now. Okay, anything else on the agenda?
Just a question, Timmy Joe not here 11th, Dwayne's not here next week?
I won't be here next week, I know, if you're hanging over the hill lots.
Okay. So items needing signature of the July 14th meeting minutes and the Eagles liquor license. Let me read the reminders, because we don't have them scrolling tonight. Monday, 3rd of August, 6 p.m. Community Garden Committee at the Old Town Hall. Tuesday night, the 4th, at 6 p.m., there's a Selectmen's workshop here. Looks like we may have a small or a short business meeting as well.
Where is that workshop on? I don't know.
Ordinances?
Yeah.
Ordinances. That one.
Yeah, and do you want me to prepare anything for that? Cause this is all 43 ordinances here. I don't really wanna make one of those for everyone.
No, but
You can read them online.
is there a, right, we
Can you
can
do
do
a
that.
PowerPoint?
Could, or just the list of the 43, I mean, there may be some in each of your minds that you know
I mean,
you wanna
if there's
target.
what would really be beneficial, but I know it would take some work. If the 43 were listed in the subject line that said, or the overview line that said, this is what this ordinance does, that would be a start, but I know that takes some
If
time.
you're gonna go deleting ordinances, you need to read them first.
I understand that. I'm not suggesting that we delete ordinances without reading them.
Okay.
Although, there are, I didn't sign the other one. There are laws that are passed every day of the week that nobody reads.
Big ones.
But okay, so I guess let's start with this. I mean, it's not gonna happen overnight, so let's at least start next Tuesday night, we'll go from there. Wednesday the 5th, Economic Development Committee here in this room at 3 p.m. Later that same day, 7 p.m. in this room, the planning board meets. Monday the 10th, the 10-town group meets here at the town hall. August 10th, 6:30 p.m., Parks and Recreation Committee at the Old Town Hall. Monday the 10th, 7 p.m., the Cemetery Committee at the Old Town Hall. Tuesday the 11th, 6 p.m., the Selectmen's meeting here. Wednesday the 12th of August, 10 to noon, just so everybody knows, Senator King's office, the constituent outreach folks will be here at the town hall. And Wednesday the 12th, Road Review Committee at 6 p.m. in the Old Town Hall. With that, we're not gonna adjourn, but we are gonna move into an executive session. So, should entertain a motion to move into executive session
So
in
moved.
5 minutes or whatever,
So moved.
according to with 1 MRSA, section 405, 6A to conduct performance evaluation. Do I have a second to Tammy Jo's motion to move into executive session?
Yes.